All right, welcome back, guys. This is Yankees Unloaded. I'm Jake Ellenbogen, and he is Gary Sheffield Jr. And today we are going to be talking about a Yankees win, not just a Yankees win, Gary, a Yankees sweep. Gary, I didn't think they were going to win this game. You did. Props to you. It was kind of an unconventional win. I thought this game was going to be rained out in the sixth inning. They kept it going, and then they stopped it in the eighth.
It probably should have been. I mean, let's be honest. The
It
field
should have
looked like
been.
just buns. And then what's funny is they put the tarp on when we essentially didn't need it. They're like, all right, guys, it's lightening up. Get off the field. Because to be honest with you, like basically from the fourth inning on, it was just a shit show.
Oh, yeah.
No one had a clue what was going on. I almost felt like the game was going to be stopped at any point. They didn't. And then thankfully it worked to our benefit. And then, of course, we didn't have to burn guys later on in the game because the game got called early. So that was great.
And, who am I? So the ball comes right through the strike zone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Strike. That umpire today was on. He was literally on like a lag switch. Like he had Walmart connection, bro. Like I don't even know what to say. Like you watch.
That was new Wi-Fi right there.
It was so bad. He was literally on a delay.
He was. And again, I'd just like to put a spotlight on the player that we put a lot of pressure on.
Yes.
We've definitely talked about it, and that his name is Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge is the captain of this team. I think everybody can agree he was the perfect candidate. He's someone who knows what to say, when to say it. He's a leader. He can kind of get on guys when he needs to. We've seen guys not hustle. He's gotten on them before, like Gleyber Torres. He's just the perfect guy. But the last step to that is performance. And Aaron Judge wasn't performing. He hasn't told us anything about an injury, his toe lingering, anything with a shoulder, a lat, anything.
No, he's fine.
He hasn't said anything. And usually when Aaron Judge isn't performing, he will tell us if he's not healthy. I haven't really had any indication that he'll hide an injury from us. For the most part, Aaron Judge will disclose what's happening with his body. He's been pretty forthright. The Yankees, on the other hand, aren't. So I trust Aaron Judge. I trust that he's healthy. I just think he wasn't playing well. And then you see what happens when he does. The Yankees score, and it's going to be contagious for the rest of this team. You saw Juan Soto. It's good to see both of those guys have an impact in one day, because it does seem like the Yankees will have like a Giancarlo Stanton, Aaron Judge, Juan Soto all taking turns performing. But when all of them have an impact on a given day, we're going to win a lot of games. So, and then of course you mentioned before this game, you actually mentioned yesterday that you weren't necessarily in high hopes about Nestor Cortes. You mentioned that he needs to keep the ball in the yard, and he was excellent today. He was very good.
He was great.
Full command. And that Detroit lineup has struggled to score runs. I know that overall they've won a lot of games, but they've won games the same way that we do. Detroit has shut guys down with their starting rotation. The guy today, I mean, he's normally shutting guys down, but their bullpen has been excellent. Detroit's bullpen has been a show. Andrew Chafin, who pitched in Arizona the last few years, he's been pitching very well for Detroit. I expected them to pitch really good in this series. They did. But I also anticipated them to struggle offensively. They also did. So the Yankees took advantage. Scoring 5 runs is pretty much insurmountable for Detroit right now. So the fact that I saw the Yankees score 2, exactly. So if the Yankees scored 2 in the first 2 innings, I felt good about the rest of the game, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, and how about Skubal? I mean, you get to him early on, he recovers, and he has 12 strikeouts, but it's just a reminder, like, this team, when you're pitching as well as they are, if you can get on a pitcher like that early on, the bullpen can do the rest. And I mean, I will say this, I was really upset that Ian Hamilton blew this win for Cortes. He deserved this win. He was outstanding. I think he could have gone another, 2 1/3 innings and get to 7 total innings. But, I understand you're trying to save him. I thought today seeing John Birdie back, golf clap for that, has missed 22 games. He looked good. And, he gets a really nice hit. He laces it into the right field. How about the ground rule double that ended up hurting them? It was Cabrera. Unreal,
Yeah,
man.
ground rule doubles usually hurt, don't they?
Yeah. It,
Any
feels that
ball.
way.
Yeah, we saw Aaron Boone just last week. We throw a ball away and he's asking if we're going to advance 2 bases. It does seem like it always hurts you. Some of the rules of baseball, obviously, they don't feel like they make a ton of sense, but
Yeah.
that's just one of them that just didn't help. But
No.
it's just, I will say this. You mentioned 2 shows ago, I believe, Oswaldo Cabrera and his dissension and the way he's looked. And
He
he's
looked good at first,
regressed.
I'll tell you that.
He did. And he regressed a little bit, but again, with the weather, with the rain, no one really has an understanding of like what's going on out there weather-wise. You're expecting guys, there's going to be ebbs and flows offensively, especially with the bats. That's something that has been confirmed true. We've seen the highs and the lows from pretty much everybody except for Juan Soto. Juan Soto is the one guy who's been the standout, but everybody else is, we saw Volpe be hot. We saw Volpe be atrocious. And then we're seeing everything in between. So it's good to see Cabrera get off the mat, have a contribution today. He was excellent today. And yeah, like you said, to see him at first base, it kind of goes to show you moving to first base is not, I'm not going to say it's not that hard, but it's not as impossible as everyone makes it out to be.
Oh, I know. I mean, it's the least, I don't want to say the least skilled position, but it's the one where you take a big guy and just because he's tall, you could probably turn him into a first baseman. And
it is the least skilled position. I think that. I genuinely do.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I do too, but I didn't want to be, I guess, mean.
Any position Jason Giambi can play. And Jason Giambi is the nicest dude ever, by the way. Just a fun fact. He is the nicest baseball player I've ever met in my life. Anyone will attest for that. First base, there's a reason dudes who are 6'4", 245 can go play first, but you don't ever see him at shortstop, third, left field. Like you don't see that. So yeah, I'm not saying it's an easy position, like easy to do it, but compared to the rest of the positions, I mean,
dude, DV is us in a nutshell. It's like Nestor for sure deserved this win. On my went to see if he got the win and saw Victor Gonzalez get the win. What is this game? Exactly. Victor Gonzalez had 1 1/3 inning pitched.
Just a third of an inning, not one of it in a third.
Oh yeah, no, a third of an inning.
Got 1 out. Congratulations, you won the game. And Nestor Cortes threw 6 1/3. Well done on the 9 Ks and the 1 walk, bringing your ERA down to 3.72.
4 pitches was enough to get the win.
It's stupid. It's dumb.
It really is. And, we like Gonzalez, so it's not a knock on him, but it's just we've seen this now multiple times this year, which is weird because I don't remember ever seeing this. Now we're seeing all these 1 pitch, 2 pitch, 3 pitch wins. It's weird, but they got after Miller. I'll tell you that right now. They got after Shelby Miller in a big way. Kind of forgot he existed until today. So there's that. 3 earned runs. But yeah, I thought the awesome thing, that Soto double, it just goes to show you he is literally the most unstoppable hitter with bases, not even bases loaded, but just runners on base. There's not a better hitter in baseball. You can say Ohtani hits a ball 500 feet, whatever. You could say, Betts, you could say Judge. I think the best pure hitter, the guy I would want with the game on the line, 2 outs, bottom of the 9th, game 7 of the World Series, and you have bases loaded essentially, and you are down a run. I want Soto at the plate over anybody because I think Juan Soto in those moments, he just gets it. He's not trying to.
Why do you think that is, by the way? Why? Because let's be clear, just to set you up here.
Yeah.
It seems like you'll watch over the course of 162 games. Most at bats in a Major League Baseball season are pretty low intensity. It's going to be a 2-1 game. You're winning. Guy on second base. Like, yeah, there's a guy in scoring position. You'd like to drive him in, but there's not really any pressure there. But when Juan Soto got up there with the bases loaded, it felt like the Yankees can either break this open and put a stamp on this game, or it's going to get ugly. It's going to turn into a bullpen game, and it can go one or two ways. Why do you think it is that Juan Soto is a guy who just kind of turns it up in every way? He locks in, but then other players, they don't necessarily exude the same confidence. Like, for what reason?
I think a lot of it is it's the act of being psyched up for something. And I think sometimes you get too comfortable. Okay, I'm a Major League Baseball player, right? I bat 3 to 4 times a game. So for the most part, that becomes just your everyday thing. It's like brushing your teeth, taking a shower, or going to bed. You know what I mean? Like you do all those 3 things every day. Well, if you're doing all these 3 things every day, then it just becomes second nature. And if you have to adapt, like say, oh, all of a sudden I can't do it at the same time I want to. Now I have to change my sleep schedule and all that. Okay. Well, you can almost become too autonomous in a sense. Like I'm just going up there every day, 3, 4 times. Sometimes I'm batting with runners on. Sometimes I'm batting when runners are not on. Sometimes I'm batting to win the game. Sometimes I'm not batting to win the game. And I feel like Soto he's always energetic at the plate regardless. So I think it's not necessarily that he rises to the occasion in these moments. I think this is just who he is. Whereas I think other guys.
So you're basically saying he takes the average at bat more serious than maybe another player would, which by the way, in our chat, and Luis Barrios, he says Yordan Alvarez is the standard, although I love Soto. Yeah, Yordan is a guy, and you saw it against Seattle where you're bringing in your Reyes coming in out the bullpen. Everyone's saying this is the biggest at bat of the game. Very clear. And of course, everything's, long story short, Yordan Alvarez takes him 3-run jack to right field. That's just the way that the game goes. But I'll tell you this, Yordan Alvarez is a different player at that time. There's players who turn it up. Derek Jeter, David Ortiz. There are guys who are ready to play when it matters. And you might turn them on in the 3rd or 4th inning. Maybe they're not as locked in. But to your point, Jake, in my opinion, I completely agree. Juan Soto is a player who doesn't take the 9th inning at bat in a different way. It doesn't seem more intense. It seems like in the 1st inning that Juan Soto is in Game 5 of the World Series. He's shuffling. He's talking to the umpire. He's chirping. He's himself. And so when those situations come up, it's the same as Game 1 of the regular season. It doesn't actually matter the situation that you put him in because mentally he psyched himself out into thinking that this is an important event. And I know that everyone sitting at home probably thinks, well, this is a Major League Baseball game. I pay hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars, to come see the Yankees play. This is important to me. But in actuality, over the grand scheme, this game today is probably not going to be that important. So when you're talking about those players who do take it important and they do take it serious and they say that this moment is going to matter just as much as the one in October, I mean, is it really any surprise why we call him one of the best pure hitters in the game? I mean, his habits reflect that.
Well, if you're always psyched up, then you don't have to worry about not being psyched up, right? And I feel like some guys are just kind of, they're even keel. And you could say Soto's even, like he's consistently psyched. So it's almost like the same as being even keel. But I think a lot of these hitters, like they'll thrive in that moment because they'll be either, psyched up for the moment in that time because normally they don't get too high, too low. Or it can go the opposite way. You could be too overzealous and you feel like you need to hit a home run every time you come up with the bases loaded. And so
Mike Trout.
Instead your launch angle is going up like this, right? And you're swinging and missing the ball because you're trying to golf the ball, and you're just trying to make a big play when in reality, like Soto's not afraid. It doesn't have to be pretty. I just need to get the ball in play. I got 2 guys on or 3 guys on today, 3-run double. That was amazing. And I'm just going to rip this thing into right field. Now, if I try and adjust in any way, I'm taking a beautiful pitch that is perfectly set up for me with my level swing to smack into right field and score 3. I'm now basically gambling. It's almost like in a bet. Like you've already won the bet, but instead of holding out, you're going to throw another leg on it or whatever. It's like you've already won the 6th leg bet. Now you're going to do another leg or whatever after the fact. And you're going to keep betting until you lose it. Soto isn't betting. He just essentially knows what he is. He knows that he can hit any baseball at any given time. He knows he can hit it anywhere on the field. It's what makes him the most pure hitter, like we continue to talk about. You look at the Astros series, and that is all you need to know. Juan Soto is a guy that has just as much power to opposite field as he does pulling it to right field. And that's scary. And it makes him so methodical because he's already so intelligent and he knows the game so well. He's a student of the game. But then you have the power and you have that ability to smack into left field, smack into right field, do what it takes to win. And then you look at these other guys and it's like they're risking it all, for the home run. And that's the thing. Soto's not. So I feel like you're more inclined to see a Juan Soto do the necessary things. He may not hit that big home run in those moments. It might be a base hit, but that base hit matters way more than flashy home runs, when in reality, all you need is to score 1 or score 2 or score 3.
Well, that's absolutely true.
They just needed 1 today because that game was getting called. They were calling that game not long after he scores those 3 runs.
No, it's absolutely true, because a lot of the players that you watch, and I guess Yordan Alvarez is a great example, is that he's not necessarily going to do his damage in the same way every time. It's not going to be okay. Like if you turn on a game and you're going to watch Bryce Harper play, for the most part, when he's going to do his damage, he's going to be slugging the ball. It's going to be in the seats. That's what he does. Same thing, Kyle Schwarber. A lot of guys in their lineup are built that way. But Juan Soto is almost committed to a non-sexy approach at the plate. Like, yeah, if you turn on the game, maybe ESPN every once in a while, Juan Soto is going to go 465 feet to center field, and it's going to be fun to watch. But who is Juan Soto when you turn on the game on some random Tuesday? Who is he then? That is a player who does not give a rip how he gets it done. And in my opinion, the Yankees players over the years have cared way too much about how it looks. They want to just put the ball in the seats. And for the most part, the easiest way to put the ball in the seats is just to pull the ball. They want to pull the baseball down the line, hit a homer. If they strike out 3 times, they don't really care. So what? You're gonna pay attention to what I eventually did. And by the end of the year, yeah, I might have struck out 200 times, but they're paying me to put the ball in the seats. Juan Soto's like, to hell with that. To hell with it. This team's got enough of those guys. I'm going to be different. And I'm going to change the way all these other guys approach the game of baseball, which I guess leads us to this question. Is Juan Soto, how much is this a do or die signing? Because when I watch the Yankees, we've got guys like Spencer Jones who are in the minor, they're in the minor leagues, but they're not just in the minor leagues. They're also raking. They're performing. And one would probably assume that Spencer Jones is going to be a key contributor for the Yankees over the years. That's an outfitter who technically could replace Juan Soto. But in my opinion, Juan Soto is too perfect of a fit for the Yankees to ever let him go anywhere. So when it comes to cost and players and I guess fans saying, well, I give him open checkbook, right? They say that the cliche, give him an open checkbook. We don't care what we pay him, right? Blank check. Well, what's so ironic about that is if Juan Soto signs a contract this offseason for $600 million, I don't want to hear anyone saying that, well, the Yankees overpaid. What is overpaid for he's going to be 26 years old this offseason? Is there a such thing as overpaying for arguably the most pure hitter in the sport who's 26? In my humble opinion, there is no number that is too high. I don't think so. And I think when you're the Yankees and you make the type of money that you make, there is no excuse. Hal Steinbrenner has no choice. When you made the decision to go get Juan Soto via trade, you've now exposed Yankees fans to what life's like with Juan Soto, what life is like when all those fans who said this team needs a contact lefty bat who can maybe put the ball in the seats, and they went out and got the best one in Juan Soto. Everybody who said we should have got Bryce Harper, well, we went and got a better version of Bryce Harper. We got a younger version, a more pure hitter. And here's the thing. Bryce Harper would have been an excellent fit, and I would have loved to sign him as well. But when you didn't go sign him, all those fans who said you should have, they kind of undid it with this move. It kind of is working out. So now that guy's through the door, what number can we possibly go to that's too big when we just saw Shohei Ohtani signed for $700 million? In my opinion, I mean, you're going into 500s, into the 600s. I don't really care. This guy has to be brought back, and then you pair him with Aaron Judge and the Spencer Jones and Jason Dominguez. That outfield, is there a better one?
I My thing is, and I want to make this very clear, I think Juan Soto could retire as one of the 5 greatest baseball players of all time.
It's certainly possible.
So I think not having him would be crippling. I think the Yankees would go into a dark age. You can't, because too many people look at just the financial aspect of it. Oh, now I have all this money free because what was supposed to go to Juan Soto. Now we can go out. Yep, and that's when you make a mistake. That's when you panic sign somebody who's not anywhere near as good as him. And I know the Yankees would do that because they'd feel like they have to do that. Be like, well, we didn't get Juan Soto, but look at what we have here. We got Trey Turner, for instance. Not going to be Trey Turner, but Trey Turner, great player, not Juan Soto. So, Gary, my concern is that they underestimate how important the fan base is. If you let Juan Soto go, to your point, you've exposed him to this audience. If you let him go, we already know what it's like with him. So you have him and Judge, and then you don't bring him back. That's a good point, L.I. Yankee King. Cough, Jacoby Ellsbury, when Robinson Cano walk, cough. It's similar. So, and honestly, it's not like Cano, because Cano was a homegrown guy that I think we fell in love with because of that. But in reality, Cano was up there, one of the better players at second base. But Cano wasn't an all-timer. He was a very, very good player and had a chance to be that. But Juan Soto has always, since, joining the MLB, getting to the big leagues, watching him in the World Series for the Nationals, you knew this guy was an all-timer. Like, this guy, if he stays healthy, will be one of the 5 greatest players of all time.
Yeah.
And
Another thing, though, let's be clear. It's not just that. Okay, so let's just say the Yankees lose Juan Soto, because to answer Luis's question, he's asking if they go into $50 million a year, should the Yankees re-sign him? 100%. It's not a conversation. If you're willing to pay Garrett Cole, who touches the baseball field once out of every 5 days the Yankees play, you're paying him $36 million a year, but the dude who's slotted in the 2-hole every single day, who's going to be in the Hall of Fame in 20 years, that guy you won't pay $50 million to. Shohei Ohtani's making 70. So to me, it's an easy answer. But Jake, the sad part is this. The Yankees technically shouldn't have been able to survive letting Bryce Harper walk to Philadelphia. Let's be very clear about something. Bryce Harper stretched his contract 13 years. He ended up getting paid $25 million a year. Let's do the math here. He made $25 million this year. We paid Josh Donaldson $25 million last year. We paid Josh Donaldson $25 million a year prior. So let's be clear. The Yankees can afford these guys. They technically can absorb the absence of Juan Soto. Okay? The baseline is pretty high for this organization. We're a very good organization. And very underrated, in my opinion. I get that people think that we're overrated, we're the Yankees, we're overcovered. We have the coverage. But in terms of the way we're rated, no, people think that this is a Juan Soto, Aaron Judge show, and everybody else is just a cast of nobodies. But let's be clear. We are where we are today because of our staff, what we've done with our bullpen, what we do with reclamation projects, in the rotation period, right? We cannot say enough about Matt Blake, what guys in our minor league system are doing. Spencer Jones, obviously Jason Dominguez is no longer a prospect. He's now a superstar. So when we're talking about these players, we probably can absorb the absence of Juan Soto, but can we go where we have to go, which is winning a World Series? My answer is no. When you have a dude like that who walks through the door, or you force him through the door via trade, having just good enough to be serviceable, and you see obviously with Washington, they trade away Juan Soto and they say, well, look what we got. We got this guy and he's controllable now for the next 6 years. Why do I give a rip about that? You guys aren't competitive to go win a World Series. That guy in Juan Soto is the type of player to thrust you into a World Series run. So being good enough and just being considered a good organization is not good enough for me. For me,
No.
And for these fans who watch this show, I want to help people understand that winning 92 games and getting up and turning on the TV for a wild card game, we win the game, we go play the ALDS, we go lose to Baltimore because we don't have Juan Soto through the door anymore, but we have a really good prospect to take his place. That's not good enough for me. I need the star power. I need the talent. I need the obvious pickups to be made. And then you combine that with development. You combine it with better coaching. You get Rothschild out of there. You get Blake in there. Those are the type of ways that you win World Series. And yeah, you said it earlier that this team can't lose Juan Soto. Yeah, if they want to win World Series, they can't. So the price is infinity. You go up to whatever price another organization pays, you go $1 higher and we move on.
No, and here's the thing, we're not talking about an organization like, say, the Kansas City Royals that, they went out, they got that title, they beat the Mets, and then they fell off a cliff. The Yankees are trying to have sustained success. The Yankees are trying to win the 28th World Series. They're trying to win the 29th, the 30th, and so forth. And, at some point or another, you have to look at it as kind of a disrespect, I think, to George Steinbrenner, his legacy, and just, the organization in general, everybody that paved the way from, Joe DiMaggio, Babe Ruth, I mean, even, Billy Martin, guys like that, have had such a big stamp on this organization. And Derek Jeter, I mean, even, the guys recently, even I would say your dad, I mean, not going out there and trying the best of your ability to win a World Series. That 2004 team, I understand, the 3-0, loss to, Boston, but that team should have won a World Series. That team was built to win a World Series. That team, they went out to find guys to accomplish the goal. And the bottom line is that if you're not putting your best foot forward and you're not trying to accomplish that goal, you're disrespecting everyone who came before you. And I would honestly say, Gary, that's how I look at it. That's important. That's how important it is to me that you can't. I hope Cashman understands the job. I hope, Hal understands what you guys signed up for. When you got Juan Soto, it was you lose. There is no win here if he is not back. You could win the World Series this year, and if he leaves, you lost. Period. It is a failure.
It's not a commitment to Yankees baseball. Yankees baseball is we've got the money. Go call your mother. That's the Yankee way. Because let's not forget. Someone actually tweeted this to me the other day. I think actually it was this morning. Someone said, "You remember when the Yankees were that organization?" It's very similar to what you saw the Dodgers this offseason. You said, "Well, who else are they going to get? Who else is this organization going to get?" You really think all those Mets fans believe that they're getting Juan Soto? They don't. No. You know what they think? They think that you Yankees fans, who this is predominantly Yankees fans in the chat, are going to think, you know how I can get under their skin? They technically don't have this guy under wraps next year. I'm going to talk about him coming to my organization. Yeah, they'd love him to go sign with the Mets or sign wherever, right? Everyone would love Juan Soto, but they don't actually believe it. They just know that if Juan Soto's resigned to a 12, 13-year contract, the Yankees are creeping back towards the version of themselves that made them great in the first place. They're an organization that will do stuff not maybe because they have to appease you guys, but because they want to win. That's it. That's the only catch to bringing Juan Soto back. Technically, like I just said, you can bring in Juan Soto, go win a World Series in 2024, and then tell Soto to kick rock because Spencer Jones is ready to play. Spencer Jones can go play right field next year. I don't doubt it at all. And I think he'll be very good. I think everyone's going to be very surprised at how good he is, how athletic he is. But is that good enough? No, it's not good enough because the sustainability of winning when you're not spending the way that the Yankees should spend, that's the whole point of spending money. It's guys who are proven, who have shown that they are going to do what you need them to do. Juan Soto's already been paid. Juan Soto's making over $30 million right now. There's a reason for that. He's highly paid because everyone knows who he is when he walks up to the ballpark. I don't need a prospect to come try and do it again. That's just silly. Let him show up and go to left field. Let him replace Verdugo for all I care.
And Gary, I mean, also another thing here, the farm system isn't to replace Soto. It's to get guys that could grow with Soto. Soto's 26, like you mentioned. Aaron
He's
Judge is
25 right
31.
now, but next year, yes.
Yeah, he'll be 26 next year. Aaron Judge is 31.
Mhm.
Okay. So, Verdugo is not going to be back. We talked about that. No matter what he does, there's no way he comes back because you have, like you mentioned, you have Spencer Jones. They're stubborn with Aaron Judge in the outfield. That's three guys already, and we're not even talking about Jason Dominguez, who will 100% be a part of this. So,
Absolutely.
I mean, really, if you like, that's my issue with that whole. If you look at Spencer Jones as Juan Soto's replacement, then you're better off trading away Spencer Jones. Simple
Absolutely.
as that. If
Yeah.
you really feel like you just have him to replace Juan Soto, then I don't feel like you understand what you could have. I mean, I'm trying to be like the Astros. I'm trying to have Jordan Alvarez. I'm trying to have Kyle Tucker. I'm trying to have Bregman and Altuve. I'm trying to build that myself because that worked. It works. These are homegrown guys that Pena. These are all homegrown guys. Say what you will, but the Astros built a core group of guys through their farm system. And the Yankees, they're trying to do that. And I don't really, Gary, I don't believe that this is the plan at all. I think the plan is like what we've talked about. It's very easy to see what the Yankees are going to do because it seems like they're stubborn right now with Judge. They moved him to left field for the first time in his career, 2 games this year, right? When Verdugo was out on leave. So that tells me that they're open to moving Judge around. And because of that, I think eventually he finds himself at first base. I just do. And then when he's at first, you have those 3. You have Soto, you have Spencer Jones, and you have Jason Dominguez. And regardless, at some point, Stanton might say, you know what? I'm ready to hang up. I'm ready to hang it up. And if and when that happens, then you can move Judge to DH. So that's the thing is that, I mean, anyone that is really paying attention, the Yankees are telling you what they're doing. Actions speak louder than words. When they moved Aaron Judge to left field, they told you that we're open to the idea of moving him out of center field and right field at some point. Okay. And that to me is a big deal. Now with Soto, and I see here, Yankee King, Jake, to be honest, I think Soto goes to first base before Judge. I disagree, and here's why. Judge is 31. Soto's 26.
He's also 6'7".
He's 6'7". And a big thing here, not just that over time Judge is going to deteriorate just as an athlete, because it's going to happen. You can't be that tall and have no adverse effects. But
Unless
you have
you're
to
LeBron,
also,
of course.
yeah, exactly. But here's the deal, though. Juan Soto is not signing a contract with the New York Yankees if they don't feel like he can play right field. It's that simple.
You're not wrong.
He is not going to come back. He wants to play the outfield. He made it known he wanted to play right field. That's why he wasn't thrown in left. He wasn't left for dead in right field in left field. He wanted to play right field. He knows how important a right fielder for the New York Yankees is. Your dad played right field. Judge played right field. Right field matters, right? So that's the thing. And I mean, I give him a lot of credit for just stepping up and wanting to take on that role, because that's a big role at Yankee Stadium. And he's done a nice job. I mean, there are times where he'll miss something. I'm like, Judge absolutely would have caught that. But I don't care, because I don't want Judge out there at all. I don't even want Judge in center.
When I see him, I see Barry Bonds. That's who I see. And I get Barry Bonds was more of a commitment to power. Of course, you see the plate discipline, very Barry-esque, and that's impressive to see. But I'll say this: all those people who want Juan Soto, you don't go sign a 25-year-old to a 12-year contract and then say, "Hey, remember when you played right field? And do you remember how Aaron Judge's position was right field his whole career? Yeah, we're going to slot you there the entire season. We will not move you. We will put Aaron Judge in left field before we put Judge back in right field."
Yeah.
That's how much the Yankees are committed to Juan Soto being the locked-in right fielder. So if you think he's going to just shove out of right field and go to first base, and then what? They're going to throw Aaron Judge in right field? I don't see that. Based on the context clues of what we've seen this year, I don't see that. And then, of course, I see in the chat that we mentioned athleticism. In my opinion, looking at this team right now and how this team transforms into 2025 and, of course, into the end of this year, because guys are going to be called up. If The dudes in AA and AAA keep performing the way that they've been performing. Guys are going to be getting calls up. They will be, and they will be making their way on the field. So I say all that to say this. The weakness of this team, if I had to give it to you guys, is our infield. I'll just tell you guys straight up. Our infield is a weakness. Our top prospects are all outfielders or starting pitchers. And our best players on the team are our center fielder, who really was our right fielder. We have 2 right fielders. And then we really would love if we can get them maybe in a full-time DH role, but it's our outfielders. It's our strength. Alex Verdugo has been one of our best bats this year. He's in left field. Our outfield's raking. Very good unit. But look at the infield. We talk about athleticism. We talk about impact. Yeah, in May, Gleyber Torres might hit really well. But overall, our infield pretty weak. Gleyber Torres, Birdie, Cabrera played first base today. Obviously, Rizzo would be in his position, but we don't know where Rizzo is going to be long term if he's a Yankee even next year. So there are positions to be won in the infield for the Yankees. And one of those positions, maybe you don't have to win it. Perhaps Aaron Judge could move over to first base. I'm not going to say he can't do it. He's one of the best. He's one of the best athletes I've ever seen. So do I think he's going to struggle to play first base if this organization positionally needs it? No, I don't think he's going to struggle at all. So I like the versatility of Aaron Judge. Do I think Juan Soto can play first base? Sure. I don't think it's that difficult of a position to play for some of the best athletes in the world. But do I think the Yankees are going to fork over $600 million and then shove over that player to first base? I don't see it.
No, I don't think Juan Soto gets moved to first. I definitely don't. I liked what Cabrera did at first today. He's making himself more valuable. I mean, it seems like he's the go-to, after Rizzo. So we'll see what ends up happening when it comes to Cabrera, third base, and so forth. I mean, I still feel like if you're asking me now, and obviously a lot can change, a guy like Juan Soto could become available for the Yankees, maybe a pitcher. And, on that level of 24, 25 years old, you have to go and get him. The value goes down a little bit, and then you have to move on from guys like Cabrera. Maybe you have to move on from, guys in your farm system. But the way I see it, as of right now, I feel good. We'll say 2020, give it 3 years to 2027, we'll say. Okay. This is my, this is how I imagine things. Catcher, Austin Wells. Okay. I think catcher will be Austin Wells. I think first baseman will be Aaron Judge. Second base, this is interesting. So hear me out here. Second base is either going to be Lombard Jr., Cabrera, Volpe. Yeah, I said Volpe. Or it will be Arias. So it's going to be one of those guys will be a second baseman. One of those guys will be short, and one of those guys will be third. So if I'm a betting man right now, Volpe stays as short, Arias gets third, Lombard Jr. gets second. I don't think they bring back Torres. Then left field, that is going to be Spencer Jones. Right field will be Soto. Center field will be Dominguez. DH, who knows? Ben Rice? I don't know. Could be anybody. It could be Pereira. I don't know. Could be a signing. But I think really the Yankees are making it. There's a possibility almost the entire lineup for the New York Yankees in 3 years is going to be all homegrown players.
I mean, you can definitely make the argument. I'm just saying, based on what they've done in the past, the Yankees haven't necessarily shown that they have the patience. And I can't even say that we have shown we've had the patience, because I could tell you right now, there are going to be players that we don't anticipate, whether it be starting pitchers. And we've talked about it before, obviously before the injury, Shane Bieber, Corbin Burns this past offseason. There are going to be players out there that the Yankees need. They have to have. There's going to be injuries. We hate to see it, but it happens. Every team that goes out there and wins, they have injuries. They replace them. They go out and find those big names. We saw the Yankees have made moves before. We brought in a CC Sabathia. Then we go out there, right? And then we use those pieces to go win a World Series. The Yankees at some point or another are going to need to cash in some chips. And frankly, when you bring in a guy like Juan Soto, you trade the Michael Kings and you get You send guys out the door, but that dude you brought in is performing. It puts less pressure on your organization for these prospects to hit, and it puts the general manager in a position where everyone's saying, we got to go get that guy. And then the GM saying, well, wait a minute, I just traded 2 or 3 of my top guys. He didn't pan out. And then you want me to solve the problem by throwing money at it. Well, performance can kind of help that along. So in my opinion, the better Juan Soto plays, the better Aaron Judge plays alongside of him, the better we see the Luis Heels perform at the top of our rotation, hopefully in the next couple of years, alongside Garrett Cole, alongside Rodon. Maybe Nestor Cortes is a part of the future. Maybe he's not. But the better those guys who are already through the door perform, the more creative I think Cashman can be, because Cashman, frankly, has missed a lot.
Yeah, he has.
That has taken away a lot of creativity that this organization, frankly, could have done. Because
I mean, the Gallo trade was an abject failure.
How about the fact that we gave $10 million? We gave $10 million to Aaron Hicks. At one point, we were paying 2 relievers and Aaron Hicks a combine of $50 million.
Yeah.
That's not a winning. That's not an equation that leads to, oh, hey guys, Bryce Harper's a free agent. Go get him. Well,
I mean, I like Curtis Granderson, but when they got Granderson, it didn't make any sense.
None whatsoever.
He was not a good fit for New York. Now he carved himself into New York a little bit, but he was not a fit. He was absolutely not a fit for the Yankees. And this is somebody who, you know, with Granderson, he was the speed power guy, but mainly speed contact early on. And then he sacrificed like all his speed and was really a power guy. And it's like, well, why did we even get that? You know, it was just another one of the guys that you already have. So yeah, you know, Gary, I feel like, you know, kind of, you know, sticking with that exercise and looking 3 years in the future, Garrett Cole looking at what, 37 years old, 36. I mean, he'll still be the ace, I would imagine. I think Heel could be the number 2 guy at that point. I think Clark Schmidt's probably in that rotation. I think he's pitching well enough to earn a spot. I would hope Rodon is still around, you know? So, I mean, that was an 8-year deal. People forget about that. That was an 8-year deal.
He should be around.
Probably. Rodon better be around. So that you have 4 pitchers right there. Who's the 5th? You know, is it today Cortes? Is it Beater? Is it? I mean, it could be, you know, somebody in the farm system. I don't think Will Warren. I think he's more of kind of a long reliever. You know, maybe it's Chase Hampton. I think would be my best bet for the 5th pitcher. I think I'd feel good about that. 3 years from now, I think
down
Chase
the line
Hampton.
Are you asking?
3 years.
Well, chances are high that the Yankees just bring somebody in. We're the Yankees. We can afford.
That's true.
Again. See, LI brings in a point about Mason Miller. The Yankees have shown that
he thinks Heel's going to be Mason Miller.
Sure, but right? Like, I don't see any reason it couldn't happen. I think the Yankees are committing at some level that
I want him to be a starter.
We would rather have those innings, but the Yankees are always looking at other organizations because we've got something that most other organizations don't have, and that is steady income.
Okay, so 3 years from now,
yeah,
who's the closer? Shoot your shot.
3 years from now, who's the closer? 3 years from now, the closer for the Yankees will be either Clay Holmes or somebody who's not in the organization at all.
I think it's Clay Holmes or Beater.
Okay.
Or Mason Miller or Emmanuel Clase. I think it's one of those 4.
Jake names the whole damn American League.
2 closers from the outside the organization. Come on now.
Yeah, no, and I like those options. I mean, don't get me wrong, but the Yankees, again, think about where we got our closers. We were just like, hey, we'll flip you Gleyber Torres, bring on.
For all we know, JT Brubaker, he'll be the guy who takes over.
Hey, I would love for Mason Miller to walk through the door, but like I've said before, guys, just because someone's really good doesn't mean I'm just going to project them in pinstripes. I know everybody who's got a clean shave already looks really good in pinstripes, no matter what. I mean, let's be honest. But if you really think about it, the Yankees are not going to be the only team looking at Mason Miller. Why would we be? Mason Miller is the best
No.
pitcher in baseball. It doesn't matter if they're a starter, closer, middle reliever. It doesn't matter. He's sitting 103. He'll touch 104. He's got a breaking ball. And if he became a Yankee, we'd polish that breaking ball for him. You're welcome. He'd probably be the best pitcher in the league. He's Nolan Ryan. Okay. He just can't throw big innings like Nolan Ryan could. So
he's going to get the Michael King treatment, though. He won't be a closer his whole career. He's going to get stretched. I can already tell.
He's stupid.
He's absolutely getting stretched out 6 innings.
And his stuff, by the way, is so much better than the average guy that you see throwing 100. It's okay. The best way
I know. Well, they're like novelties. The guys that just throw 100, they know it's like, oh, I throw 100. I'm a flamethrower. But like, you don't have anything else. It's just you have a fastball. You'll mix in. Maybe you'll take 102 on the 4th seam, and you go to the 2 seam. It drops down to 97, so it gives you a different variation. And then your changeup is like a 94. Like that's normally what you see with those flamethrowers, and they very rarely use those changeups. They try to throw it by you. But when you're talking about Mason Miller, and this is why I was so excited for you to get to know him, because I kept saying, I was like, nah, dude, Mason Miller's fire. He's got multiple pitches. He's still working on pitches. Like the break he has on his pitches. It's not just that he throws 103, but then he can hit you with other things as well. And that's the sign that he's going to be something special.
Yeah, but his 103 plays 103. That's the thing that surprised me about baseball. Have you guys ever turned on a game and you see Gleyber Torres go up to the plate and the first pitch comes in, it's 102, and you go, oh shit, it was 102 miles an hour, and you look at Gleyber Torres' face and he's sitting there digging out the box, and you're like, is no one going to address that he just threw 102 miles an hour? The reason that there's no reaction and Gleyber Torres isn't blown away is because of spin. That's the one thing that they never talk about on these broadcasts. They always show the radar gun, and you'll say, oh, he threw 101 right there. But not everyone's 101 is the same. There's a reason that Joel Zumaya, who used to pitch for Detroit, for my baseball fans out there, they'll know Joel Zumaya very well. Joel Zumaya used to throw 104, and he went and faced an old version of Ken Griffey Jr., and Ken Griffey Jr. took his shit 450 feet to right field. The reason for that is because, and the difference between a Zumaya versus a Mason Miller is spin rate. That fastball, when the spin is right, guys like Shane Bieber, McKenzie, right in Cleveland, those dudes who are high spin, that 102 looks like 110. And so that's the reason why
Daniel Bard in his prime.
That's the reason why you see Juan Soto go up there and he saw a Mason Miller fastball and he goes, oh yeah, I'm trying to adjust to it. And then the next 2 just went right by his ass, is because the spin is just too much. It's too much, and you can't overcome all-time great stuff with all-time great spin. You cannot. It can't happen. That's the reason why. That's the difference maker. When you want to know why doesn't everybody just learn how to throw a curveball like Clayton Kershaw? Spin. It's talent. You cannot teach it. You can try and adapt it and adjust it and make all types of tweaks. We've seen Matt Blake do it before, but you can't teach 103 with spin. You cannot. And so when we're asking, hey, I hope Mason Miller comes to the door and wears pinstripes, who the hell wouldn't? Who wouldn't want that guy? Because if he continues and he stays healthy, I can't name you guys outside of like Emmanuel Clase. There's maybe like 1 or 2 other guys who have the stuff that can match that.
Yeah, it's exactly. I wanted to point out something. Johan Duran actually threw the fastest pitch this year. May 24th. Oh, no, it was last year. May 24th, 2023. He threw a 104.6 mile an hour pitch. After that, previous highs were reached by Jordan Hicks and Aroldis Chapman at 103.8 in March 30th. And then May 16th. So Jordan Hicks is another one. And the Yankees wanted him, man. They tried to get him. Yeah. They tried to get him at the deadline. Then they tried to sign him. So they value that velocity. But they value the velocity because, I mean, I feel, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know. I just get the vibe like, Matt Blake feels like he could teach you. He can untap this potential that you don't even know about yourself. Like, and I feel like that's why they went out and they got, Clay Holmes, and they're going and getting Brubaker, and they're getting all these guys because they see enough on the surface level to get the most out of them. And then it's like, oh yeah, by the way, Matt Blake is really good at his job and he can turn you into this, this, and this.
So he's the whisperer.
So he feels that way. He's like, oh God, who was the quarterback whisperer that like, he just has a crazy track record? I forget. But yeah, no, not quite my guy.
Well, you don't like all-time great players just turning into butt when they go get coached by Kingsbury?
Oh man.
No, but you're completely right, by the way. You can throw he turns water into wine.
Yeah.
That's what he does. He's bringing guys like Michael Tonkin, and when we saw Michael Tonkin, I thought I was being punked. People were tweeting it to me, and I actually thought that they were talking about like a Photoshop job. They said, hey, what do you think about Michael Tonkin? And I'll be honest with you guys, on this podcast, I wasn't watching the game. I was not. And I turned on the game. Long behold, I saw Michael Tonkin because I wanted to see what was up. And for Matt Blake to be able to figure out a way to do something with him, I'm not trying to disrespect him in any way. Not at all. He's a big leaguer. All these guys deserve some level of respect. They're all very good at baseball, regardless of how they perform. But my goodness, there's some guys that are in our bullpen right now. Like Caleb Ferguson is like maybe the one guy who we just like flat out still don't feel comfortable with. Caleb Ferguson pitching for like the San Diego Padres, his ERA is probably 10. With all due respect, we get the most out of pretty much anyone. What you saw at a Larry Rothschild where you're like, what the hell is wrong with Sonny Gray? Is it Sonny Gray? Is it the pitching coach? Is it the fact they won't let him throw a cutter? We don't have any of those questions anymore. Have you seen, Jake, one single instance the last 3 years where anyone has said, hey, I have complaints about how I'm being used? One single player. I would love somebody to name them because I haven't heard it.
By the way, going back to Juan Soto, because I did want to mention this.
What's up?
He's missing one accolade. He's missing one. He's got Silver Slugger. He's got All-Stars, because obviously you just have to play good the first half of the season.
Well, he didn't win a Gold Glove, did he?
I mean, is he ever going to win a Gold Glove?
No.
So hitting-wise, he's missing one, and that is the MVP.
Oh, he's won that.
He's not won an MVP.
Okay.
So, home run derby champion, World Series, batting title, Silver Slugger, 3-time All-Star. He needs to win an MVP. And
gun to your head right now, is he winning it?
Oh, absolutely.
He is. Okay.
Absolutely. He'd win it right now.
Chad, is he winning the MVP right now? He'd winning the MVP. Not 2025. Don't tell me, oh, he's going to win it at some point in his career. Because
he's winning it this year. And he knows that.
2024.
Yes.
Okay.
He's got all the attention. He's in the Bronx. He's winning the MVP.
Okay. No, I respect it. And at the very least, you're on camera. This is recorded.
Yeah.
So you're making that prediction here. I know everybody else, like all
I
the
said
other
he was
podcasts.
winning it before the season, if you remember. I thought he'd have a better year than Judge. Remember I said that? And people are like,
yes.
What do you mean? And I was like, look, Judge, I love Judge. I was on Judge's train probably more like quicker than most people because I liked him in college at Fresno State. Like I remember watching a video and I was like, that's Giancarlo Stanton. And at the time, Giancarlo Stanton was a superstar. So I've always been a huge fan of Judge. He's been my favorite. He's still my favorite. Like I love Soto, but you can't replace a guy that like Judge is my guy. With that said, Judge is not a better baseball player than Juan Soto. He's not. He's not a better hitter than Juan Soto. Judge is a better home run hitter than Juan Soto, right? Judge is not a better hitter than Juan Soto. If anyone is at the play, if you can choose between either of those two in the World Series, you're not picking Judge over Soto. You're not picking him now. You weren't picking him before the season, maybe before the season. You do pick him probably the year he had 62 homers. But in reality, one guy has struggled in the postseason and the other guy hit 357 or 457. It's like,
Yeah. Okay, so can I just, because I see it in the chat right now, and I think this is the perfect time to bring up this point because Luis Barrios mentions
mhm.
that Henderson, obviously mentioning Gunnar Henderson in Baltimore, who I think is a great candidate for MVP. Obviously, he's got the talent to put forward MVP numbers. I think there's no doubt about that. But this is where my hesitation resides because when you ask the average person, who do you think has the best team in the American League East? Not do you think the Yankees or the Orioles are the real deal? I think everybody believes that both of these teams are the real deal. But if you ask people, who's the best team in the American League East? I think most people would tell you the Baltimore Orioles, in
Yeah.
my opinion. Now, having said that, if my memory serves me correct, my father should have won the MVP in 2004. He did not win. Okay. Vladimir Guerrero won MVP. Okay. Now, when I asked the writers, why didn't he win MVP? How do you justify that he didn't win MVP this year? You know what they tell me? The writers tell me this all the time. They said his team was too good. That's what they tell me. They said, well, he had A-Rod, he had all these guys. And to be honest with you, Henderson is not the only player right now who's having an all-time great start to the season. Okay? Juan Soto is the only person having an all-time great start to the season. When you go look at Mookie Betts and Shohei Ohtani out in LA, both of them are hitting over 355. I mentioned it earlier today on Twitter. There's no standout performance between the two. They're both playing like MVPs. So when you get to the end of the year, people say, this dude has MVP numbers. And then they say, well, who was around him? That tends to impact, and I'm not saying it should, but it tends to impact how people vote. And so do I think Gunnar Henderson is an MVP type guy who potentially can win multiple MVPs in the future? Sure. He's got the talent. And of course, he plays shortstop, so that helps. But
Yeah.
Juan Soto right now is the one standout in this lineup. And by the end of the year, if both he and Aaron Judge stay healthy, I'm going to look at it and I'm going to say Juan Soto's numbers look a lot better. A lot better. They're not going to be close.
No, they're not. And it's not to hate on Judge. It's just, I mean, let's put it this way. Juan Soto has 76 total bases and Judge has 58. They're hitting about the same spot.
And we're saying, by the way, these are two podcasters who are saying Aaron Judge will be a superstar by the end of the year. That's our prediction. We expect it. But a superstar with a month head start on you who's already performing well. He's hitting over 300. He's not striking out. He's walking a shit ton, right? He's playing a pretty solid right field. Overall, and the Yankees, by the way, are winning. So you can't really look at anybody. Is someone going to say, oh, the reason that the Yankees are winning is because of that bullpen? I promise you guys, most people don't even know why we're winning. They just look up and say, who's doing what? Oh, Juan Soto's hitting 330. I'm telling you guys how these writers work. If you think they do the details and they're sitting there going, oh yeah, Ferguson's hitting the mound and all this, those writers will sit up here and lie right to your face and say that they watch and they put all the games on one big TV and they try to watch it. I promise you guys they don't. No. They are going to look at Gunnar Henderson. They're going to look at the Adley Rutschman, and they're going to say, well, that lineup is much deeper. Guys are hitting 300 all the way down it. I can't necessarily find the monster standout amongst this lineup. They're going to go find the standout amongst the lineup that's just fine. They're just good. But that all-time great lineup, they usually vote against that guy. I'm just telling you guys. So
to your point too,
I think Baltimore is going to hurt him.
Yeah, to your point too, Gary came in second, and he had 3 other Yankees in the top 15 of voting.
That's right.
Alex Rodriguez, Derek Jeter, Mariano Rivera. So I agree. I mean, the way like Mountcastle's going to be up there, they're going to hold him against him. I mean, Burns.
And it shouldn't, by the way. If Gunnar Henderson has the best year, if Gunnar Henderson
deserves to win it, if that's the case.
100%. If he outperforms Juan Soto, he deserves to win MVP. And I've always been consistent about this. I
always hated how we had to like redefine what an MVP is. To me, an MVP is named most valuable player, but people take it so literally, like, oh, most valuable to their team. No, You're over analyzing something that's really freaking simple. The MVP is just the best player. Okay, it's really that easy. But now all these writers trying to sound sophisticated when in reality they sound freaking stupid. And I mean, just look at how they vote for the Hall of Fame. That's all you need to know. The reality, Gary, is that it's always been the best player, right? It's always been the best player. They changed it. They started with this whole, yeah, I'm going to reinvent the wheel. Oh, okay. Now it's most valuable to their team. And that's, I mean, I still have issues with that going back to football. You know,
It's mental
I've said that.
gymnastics. It's mental gymnastics is what it is.
It's why, like, there are years when, like, LeBron James in the NBA didn't win the MVP because they'd be like, oh, well, he wasn't most valuable to their team because, you know, he had Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, or he had Kyrie Irving.
Rose, yeah, so in this perfect situation, Derrick Rose won the MVP in 2011. Derrick Rose in no year of history of mankind, okay, since the Mayans, has ever been better than any version of LeBron James. Why is he winning MVP? Oh, because he's on a worse team and they really need him.
Sorry, Gary, I'm going to go in on you. Steve Nash shouldn't have won it over Kobe.
He shouldn't have won it over. Steve Nash wasn't better than LeBron that year. He wasn't better than Kobe that year. There's two.
But what I love is they pick and choose because Amari Stoudemire, people forget, was one of the best players in basketball when that happened. But that didn't affect him. And so, yeah, I agree with you, Yankee King, because, I mean, that's just the way it is. Like with football, like, well, Tom Brady played quarterback, so he'll just win the MVP because it's the MVP award. Todd Gurley was the best player in the league in 2017. He should have won it. They wanted to give it to a quarterback. Who's most valuable to their team? A quarterback. And then you look at baseball and you're like, oh, good God, man. Like it's always, yeah, I think that is the most annoying. All of these new adjustments, I want to call them, Gary, with sports, the dialogue of most valuable to their team, it's like you're trying to gigabrain something that is right in front of you. The MVP is just a prestigious way of calling it the best player of the year award because it just sounds better. Oh, it's the MVP, right? You think the years like when Michael Jordan won the MVP in basketball, there were years where he wasn't even the best player and he still won MVP. Not too many, right? But there were times where he won it just because he was the most valuable to, whatever. And it's like, to me, I just feel like if Juan Soto, and you watch this Yankee team, and this is another thing, the mental gymnastics that you talk about, they'll change it up. Like we've seen it. Writers will go, well, he wasn't really the best player. I'm like, wait a minute. Last year, that same writer, you're telling me how it's the most valuable to their team. There is no, I will make this argument right now. I don't care how crazy it sounds. Juan Soto is the most valuable player in baseball to his team. Ohtani isn't even needed with the Dodgers. They've won a World Series without him. They're still hitting. Look at all their guys are hitting over 300. Okay?
Right, but as long as he's having the best season, then he should win the MVP.
He should, exactly. But keep the same energy, I guess, is what I'm saying with the writers. Yep. Because the writers are always like, oh, this, and this is the reason why I can't vote for him. But now watch them change. It's always been most valuable to their team. Now watch them change. Now that it's a Yankee. Remember the year Matsui didn't win Rookie of the Year over Angel Baroa because they held it against him?
Wait a minute. Dustin Pedroia won the MVP in, was it 2007? Dustin Pedroia was never the best player in Major League Baseball.
No.
When? Show it to me. Dustin Pedroia, by the way, is an all-time great Red Sox. He was incredible. But when was Dustin Pedroia the best player in baseball? Show that to me. Don't tell me, oh, well, he was valuable to his team. Was he or was he not playing on a team with Manny Ramirez and David Ortiz hitting behind him? What are we talking about?
That's my thing. It's always...
So that player right there is going to hit 325, and then you're going to say, yeah, he can't leave the park a lot because he's small.
Well, the same can be said about A-Rod. So he wins it the year after. Gary, your dad gets kind of screwed over. I will say Vladimir had a case, so I'm not going to go too much on like he got totally screwed.
Oh, definitely.
But still, I mean, so that was the argument, right? That was the rationale behind it. Yeah, he had Alex Rodriguez, he had Mariano Rivera, he had Derek Jeter. Well, guess what? Next year, A-Rod wins. And Gary is 8th, Mariano's 9th, Derek Jeter's 10th, Matsuya is 11th or is 14th, and Jason Giambi is 18th. So look at all those Yankees that were in the top 20. They don't keep the same energy. And this is going back to 2005. You look at 2006, now Justin Morneau. What was the argument? You said it yourself. These guys are more about if you have a great lineup, we're not going to reward that. We want a guy that's kind of putting the team on his back, right? And Vladimir Guerrero, in that case, okay, that's fair, but you're stretching it now because Morneau wins it in 2006 over Derek Jeter, when, let's be honest here, he should not have. Totally disagreed with that, but whatever. And the thing is, Morneau had Joe Mauer and Johan Santana in the top 7. So,
it's just inconsistent at the very least.
It's so inconsistent. Again, Alex Rodriguez in 2007, Jorge Posada comes in 7th, Jeter comes in 11th, Bobby Abreu is up there. I mean, 2008, Dustin Pedroia, like you mentioned, he won it. Kevin Youkilis was 3rd in MVP voting, Gary. It's just there's not a consistency here. It's very obvious there's not. That year, you could probably argue that he was deserving of winning it. I'm not saying Pedroia wasn't deserving. He had 213 hits that year. But yeah, I agree. I want more consistency.
Well, I'm going to go against you here. I don't think he was deserving at all.
You don't think Pedroia was deserving?
Nope. I'll tell you why.
I thought he had a pretty good year.
A great year. You know who else had a great year last year? Arias in Miami.
Oh, no one gives him his due. He's literally I think you said he's modern day Tony Gwynn.
He's modern day Tony Gwynn, but let me say this. People were asking me when I went on MLB Network last year, I talked to Jorge Soler face to face, and I asked him, "Hey, this dude Arias, what makes him tick? Like, how good is this dude really?" And he essentially said, and obviously through a translator, this dude's all-time great. But you know the crazy part? No one would have ever said he's winning MVP. Oh yeah, he had 200 and some hits. If Arias had 225 hits this year and he's playing for the Padres win 81 games, but he's not hitting homers, he's not doing any of that stuff, right? He's not driving in runs. In my opinion, the dudes who should be winning MVP in terms of value should be able to do those things. That's just my opinion. I know that when I say hey guys, who are some of the greatest hitters of all time, I'm going to put Tony Gwynn in that conversation. Maybe 20 years from now, Arias is going to be in that conversation. But am I going to sit up here and say that 98% of the players I'm going to tell you who are the best hitters of all time have the ability to put the ball in the seats? They don't rely on it. But Miguel Cabrera, Albert Pujols, Manny Ramirez, right? People remember my dad. They're remembering the bat waggle, but the reason you remember this shit is because he's hitting the ball in the seats.
No, it's true.
You have to be able to drive in. The dude, you might be getting 200 hits, but the dude everyone's afraid of is hitting behind you. That's my thing.
And again, to your point, Youkilis, he was hitting in front of.
That's right.
So, Youkilis came in second. I think based on, obviously, WAR, you would give it to Pedroia. And you and I don't really like WAR.
I hate WAR.
Hate WAR.
Because Pedroia was a very good second baseman, which, of course, up the defense. And, guys.
He led the league in runs, and he actually tied Ichiro. So they both had 213. He had 17 homers, which isn't bad. But I get your point. Miguel Cabrera had 37. Carlos Quentin had a low-key MVP kind of season. I guess you kind of have to bat over 300, so you'd give it probably A-Rod was probably deserving that year, if I'm being honest. What
did A-Rod do?
I mean, A-Rod, OPS was 965, which was third in the league, tied with Carlos Quentin, behind only Mark Teixeira and Milton Bradley. Milton Bradley, what a name.
He punched his way out of Major League Baseball.
Alex Rodriguez had 35 homers, which was second in the league behind Cabrera, who had 37. Quentin had 36.
Wait, well, hold on.
A-Rod,
What was A-Rod's batting average?
over 300, 302. I mean, based on this,
He hit 302.
he hit 302.
Alex Rodriguez hit 302. Okay, A-Rod was a very good defensive player. If he hit 302, and that's true, and he hit 30, how many home runs?
He hit 35.
He hit 35 homers and hit over 300, but a dude hitting 325 who hit 17 homers is the MVP. I'm sorry. I'm just putting numbers up against numbers, and I just can't possibly.
He led the league in slugging.
Yeah, I can't do it. I can't do it. I get it. You can have 220 hits, but and Derek Jeter did that often, by the way.
You know, Frankie Rodriguez had more votes than Alex Rodriguez.
Who?
Frankie Rodriguez, remember him, the closer?
I hate baseball.
62. He had 62 saves, so they're just like, oh, that's all that matters. No,
what are we talking about?
He had a good year, but didn't Mariano Rivera have years where he had like a below 1 ERA? Like Frankie had a 2.24 ERA, a 1.2 WHIP, and he pitched in 68. He pitched 68 innings. Alex Rodriguez played 138 games. And guess how many votes Frankie Rodriguez had over A-Rod?
How many?
Almost 100.
I'm being trolled. This is, I try to maintain consistency.
Yeah.
I don't care who was hitting in front of you, behind you. I don't care. Okay. But this is where I do care about it. If you're not able to drive yourself in consistently and you are simply getting on base and you're a table setter for your organization, that's not the best player in the league. Because you said earlier today, the best player in the world that day, the best player in the world that year, excuse me. Dustin Pedroia was not the best player in the world. You mean to tell me I could name you 10 players from that year alone that I'd rather have than Dustin Pedroia? No offense. I'm not
taken.
220 hits. Derek Jeter got 200 and some hits all the time. All the time, Derek Jeter had 200 hits. Did I think Derek Jeter was the best hitter in the league? No, I didn't. Derek Jeter didn't think he was the best hitter in the league.
Now, do you agree with Joe Mauer? Do you agree with Joe Mauer winning? Because to me, I think he should have been unanimous in 2009.
Well, I agree that he should have won MVP. Yes,
I know people were upset that Mark Teixeira didn't win, and look, Teixeira was great, but Teixeira didn't bat 365.
That's insane.
I mean, Joe Mauer. Anyone that's complaining about Joe Mauer winning the MVP, he's a catcher, who's batting 365.
That's silly. Unbelievable.
So he's the only one who had a 1,000 OPS, right? Led the league in slugging, on base percentage, batting average. I mean, he had 28 home runs. That's nothing to sneeze about. So
Joe Mauer was excellent at everything.
191 hits. No. I mean, he was. Anyone complaining about that? 96 RBIs. Oh, did he lead off too? He was like a leadoff catcher.
Yeah, but Jake, does his numbers say that he's able to drive in runs? Does it suggest that to you?
Yeah, 96 RBIs.
96 RBI. Does his batting average suggest that he's able to hold his own as a hitter, just as a table setter?
Yes.
Does him catching, because I watched him catch in the way that he caught as well, did he not display that he can be an all-time great catcher?
He's one of the greatest ever.
Okay. So that year, there's no doubt that this is the best player. And at the very least, he's arguably the best player in the year. I'm cool with it. But again, I guess the whole point of this discussion and when we started it was that I need to be able to look at your numbers and say, I would rather have your numbers as opposed to his. That's what we're doing, because if it's not, it's just opinion based and narrative base and emotion base. When we watch Shohei Ohtani go out and he's going to hit 365, like if Ohtani next year hits 340 and we're sitting here saying, well, Mookie Betts hit 350 right in front of him, so I can't really give the MVP to him. He's hitting 350 in pitching. He's the MVP, you dingle.
He hit third. So I would like the RBIs to be a little bit higher, but yeah, he's still. By the way, he played 163 games.
No way.
Yep. The Twins. Oh, no, he didn't play in all 163, but that was the year the Twins played 163 games because they had the.
Yeah, they had the extra game.
Yeah, the tie with the Guardians, I think. Tigers, I think it was.
So he played every single game possible.
No, he played 138. Yeah, he played 138. But, I mean, Teixeira got a lot of the vote, too. He had 225 votes. Jeter had 193. Jeter's probably the reason he lost the vote, to be honest with you. But, I mean, you have dudes literally voting for Jason Bay. So, I mean.
All right, well, you guys get the point. We resent holding teams against people. Look at their numbers. Look at what they did. Vote accordingly. If you do that, we're going to be able to live with it because, yeah, are people online on Twitter going to complain, say, well, he was more valuable to our team. I was watching the A's the whole year. Sure. Let him squeal. But 20 years from now, I want to remember the best players. I don't want to remember some narrative that we were driving in 2005. So that's where I'm at.
No, I agree with you. And I think in closing, I just want to ask you, Jose Bautista hits 54 home runs, but he bats 260. Okay. Josh Hamilton hits 32 and hits 359. Josh Hamilton's MVP.
Yeah, it's a better year.
Yeah. I think that's really just, I hate to be like, I'm right, you're wrong, but I feel like a lot of these guys just interpret things wrong. I mean,
wait, you mean the writers don't get it wrong? Don't get it right all the time? Oh my!
No, I mean they flat out don't get it. Like we just admitted. I mean, would you rather have a guy hitting 365, getting closer to getting a hit 4 out of the 10 times, or would you rather have the 54 home runs than the 32 and hit 260, getting closer to in the middle of 2.5 times?
It's not even close. It's not close.
No.
I get it. We care about ops plus, WAR.
Well, the ops goes.
Come on now.
It goes in Josh Hamilton's favor.
Interesting.
Yeah, 1,044, and Jose Bautista was 4th with
There's no logic.
995.
There's no logic.
So
it doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's like Twitter. Delman Young, I got to get out of here. There's way too many guys that are bringing back memories like that. We'll be here all day. Justin Verlander won the MVP the next year in 2011. Felt like that was justified. He went 24-5 with a 2.40 ERA and a 0.92 WHIP. And he struck out 250 batters.
He was pretty good.
I get the argument against pitching. Any pitchers winning, the MVP because it's like he only pitched in 34 games out of 162. But those are it's a lot. It's a lot of work to pitch in the MLB, and I don't know. I can't really hate on Justin Verlander winning MVP that year.
He was great. I'm not going to complain. If you're all-time great and, awesome, but I don't look at Dustin Pedroia's numbers. I circle it back to Pedroia. I don't look at that season and say, I've never seen that. He hit 325. He hit 17 homers. Big whoop-de-doo. Whoop-de-doo.
What bothers me at the end of the day is probably the same thing that bothers you. If they gave Gary that MVP, he's in the Hall of Fame.
Sure, but if you're not going to give it to my dad, yeah, that's fine. I mean, whatever. My dad's lost MVP before. He's lost it to Barry Bonds countless times. But give it to somebody else who's putting the ball in the damn seats. That's my gripe, actually. It's not that my dad didn't win the MVP. That happened every other year. My dad wasn't just great in 2004. He was great in 1992. He didn't win the MVP because of Barry Bonds. My dad lost the Triple Crown the last day of the season. Let's be very clear about what actually happened. there's hardly any players in Major League Baseball history. If there's another one, I would love for someone to name them that lost the Triple Crown on the last day of the season. And they're like, oh, damn, not the MVP, and, tough shit. It happens, right? Like there's great players that are going to, I guess, outrun you after a great season. Do I have an argument that he should have won an MVP along the way? Sure. But where I can't live with it is when I see players hit 325 with 15 homers or 17 homers. And we're like, yeah, that dude had a better season than you did. You had 36 bombs in New York with all the pressure. What are we sitting here talking about?
No, that's true. It's funny. You talking about your dad, it's kind of reminding me of Isaac Bruce in what was it, 95, I want to say. He had 1,738 receiving yards and had the all-time record and was passed on the last game because the late game by Jerry Rice. And he didn't even make the Pro Bowl.
Oh, well, the Pro Bowl is dog shit anyway.
The Pro Bowl is like the All-Star game. I don't know what's worse. The All-Star game only factors in half your season.
Major League Baseball All-Star game is stupid.
Yeah.
I'm glad my dad had 9 really good first halves of the year.
Yo, I just realized something. Jose Trevino's batting 283, so he's going to be in the All-Star game again. 2-time All-Star catcher Jose Trevino.
It's really so true. And we'll laugh about it, but we're going to see his ass in there in a suit when it's 94 degrees outside. The dumbest.
Oh, my God.
Major League Baseball All-Star game is stupid.
It's really dumb.
It's so dumb. Which we'll be happy if he's there. Good for him. It means he's having a good year for the Yankees.
I hope we see everybody there. I don't think we will. I think Volpe's probably hurting his chances now. So I'd probably say Soto. Judge will get in there because of fan vote. Stanton probably not.
Well, we're going to see Holmes. I'll tell you that.
Holmes better be there. He better be closing the damn thing.
We might even see Ian Hamilton, by the way.
Might see Hamilton. He's having a good year. Yeah, honestly, what's crazy is the Yankees are probably going to have Soto, Judge, and Trevino, and that's it for batters.
I personally don't give a rat's ass. We need to win a World Series in the worst way. We can have 0 All-Stars.
Oh no, I just think it's funny. We bagged on Jose Trevino. He's about to be an All-Star.
Hilarious. Well, I mean, hold on 1 second. The All-Star game is what, 2 months away?
Is it?
Yeah.
It's not that far away. Is it?
It has to be.
It's in July, right?
Yeah.
Okay, then it is. Well, if Trevino keeps it up, they'll be in the All-Star game. 2-time All-Star catcher Jose Trevino at your service.
I hope he does.
That's just, you always did, but you guys, you see the issue with the
Remember
All-Star
we were talking
game?
about the Yankees? Remember that? The Yankees win. What was the score to the game again? 5-2. What a win.
Yeah.
Sweeping the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah, and we're off tomorrow. So send this to everybody that you know that likes either the Yankees or MVP complaining. MVP award complaining. Then we'll hit you guys back on Tuesday night. We'd love to go live if we can. If we can't, then we'll put a video out for you. Justin Verlander.
Michael Tonkin at the All-Star game. Please.
Oh man, DV. That's funny. So we got a pretty awesome matchup on Tuesday. Justin Verlander and Louis Seal.
Oh, we're gonna shell his ass. But
you think so?
With all due respect. Yeah, Justin Verlander is a first ballot Hall of Famer. It's his clear.
Justin Verlander is an all-star, so I don't know what else to tell you. I'm sorry, I had to go there.
I'm telling you right now, we're about to put a hurting on Verlander. You can put that in writing.
Michael Tonkin is probably going to be an all-star. Everyone becomes an all-star. No, you know who's going to be an all-star?
Who?
Gonzalez, bro. Victor Gonzalez, all-star pitcher.
Is Blake going to be with him? Because if he isn't, the Mirage.
Matt Blake.
Yeah, without Matt Blake.
Is that funny?
Yeah, without
you just
Matt
put like
Blake,
any sort of pitching coach, and just immediately he just gets shelled.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh man,
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Well, hey,
else
we got 2 months. That means it's plenty of time for Dennis Santana to get that ERA down and also be an all-star.
I don't even know who the hell Dennis Santana was until the beginning of this year. I have no clue who that is. And I really like him.
Yeah, I like him too, but he does sound like a created MLB 2K5 player.
I don't know why. He just sounds like a character from SpongeBob. Like I don't.
Dennis. Oh, well, there was a Dennis.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, there was a Dennis.
But no, like Dennis Santana absolutely sounds like a computer generated MLB 2K5 player or MVP Baseball 2004 player.
Oh, like John the Stalker. Reggie Stalker.
No, Reggie Stalker was 2K. John Dowd was MLB MVP.
Yeah, he sounds like a fake person. But
you gotta know your fake person lore, man.
I do.
Most people don't even know what we're talking about. Reggie Stalker was essentially Barry Bonds because Barry Bonds never wanted to be in a video game. So, fun fact, Barry Bonds was never in a video game, was never in any of the baseball video games. And you know who did the same thing? Bill Belichick.
Floyd Mayweather.
Really?
Yeah, Floyd Mayweather. He was never in Fight Night, ever. Floyd Mayweather.
I don't think I knew that.
Always just some random black dude. They would just put in some random character. He'd have a different name every year. And he was the best boxer in the game. I'm telling you.
Bill Belichick was never in it. And they would either say NE coach or they would have like Joe Gibbs, who's actually already a coach. So they didn't actually do that. But, you know, it would be like, you know, some random dude and he'd have glasses on. They make him look nothing like Belichick. It was so funny. But yeah, it is stupid. Just be in the video game. I don't know. It's imagine not wanting to be in a video game that they're literally paying you, by the way, for your likeness.
Aaron Judge probably hates the show. He's probably like, are you guys kidding me? I go 2 for 3. I'm hot for the first time all season. You guys are talking about Bill Belichick for the first time ever all year. Sorry.
Oh man. Well, hey, it's been a fun live stream. We had over 20 people for the majority of it, so we're growing. The watch hours, it's going up. Yeah.
LLC time.
Bill Belichick operator bundle and COD. Oh my God, we have to log off now. But DV, appreciate you. Luis, appreciate you. Yankee King, appreciate you. Everyone else that's been watching that hasn't really been commenting, we still love you. So, yeah, we're gonna
Twitter that's watching.
Well, Twitter doesn't exist, so I don't think that's possible. So, so appreciate you guys. It's been a lot of fun hanging out with you, and we'll be back on Tuesday. Maybe tomorrow we'll try to get some YouTube shorts out and try to expand this little operation we have going on a little bit, tomorrow. So again, thank you guys so much and take care. We'll see you guys Tuesday.
And like this video.